Thank you for watching our webinar, Microsoft Confirms Project Online End of Life in 2026, What Happens Next? Hosted by Jim Patterson. For more on this topic, you can find a detailed blog on our website and follow us on LinkedIn for continued expert insights.
And welcome everybody. This is an exciting time and also a time of, let's just say, interesting choices to be made. Now that Microsoft has officially confirmed there is going to be an end of life for Project Online in 2026. You will be kind of hit up with a bunch of different alternatives and ideas and thoughts on this, but given our experience and place in the marketplace and our relationship as a preferred Microsoft partner, we thought we'd give you some insights onto what we see the opportunities are for you, as well as considerations that you might have and ways that you can get even more information beyond just today. So with that, just let's get started. You know, this started early on, as Robert said in the introduction, back in late 2018, Microsoft put out a blog saying that they were going to move off of Project Online, and they encouraged people to start making plans to go into the future, but and that all innovation was going to be done in what was then their project for the web on the Power Platform and on M365. Now, this was basically just giving people a hint that they were moving in a different direction with that technology and that platform and giving some advance notice, but a lot of time has elapsed as they've been working through that transition plan. Just on September 5th, last Friday, Microsoft finally came out with the official announcement that Microsoft Project Online is retiring, and with a date certain. It is going to be retired officially on September 30th, 2026, which is not that far out. It's just a little over a year. Actually, on October 1st of 2025, they're going to stop selling Project Online to any new customers and standing up any environments for new customers. So it's something that now is actionable, something that we now have to figure out for Project Online users, what's next for them as they move through this. Now, when we mean retirement, this doesn't mean like the old Microsoft, it's out of official support or those types of things. This service will be shut down, meaning that service will no longer be available, meaning it is an official retirement of this particular platform. Now, the good news is that Microsoft Project on the desktop, Project Professional, et cetera, will not be affected. They will continue to offer that and support that. Project Server, for people that are on-prem, will still be available for another 5 years. And then Planner, as we know about it, as they've moved into, and we'll talk about that a little bit in this webinar, will not be affected at this time. So their vision going forward is still this M365 Power Platform move that was announced back in 2018. If you want to look at this blog about this recent announcement, there is a link down below in the URL, and you will get a copy of these slides, and that link should be active when you get it. Now, Microsoft recommends OnePlan as a Project Online replacement because of our standing with them and our history. With it retiring, we are a trusted replacement, and our OnePlan solution is really, as we'll talk about today, the only comprehensive PPM strategic or SPM solution built on the Microsoft cloud. It's built in partnership with Microsoft. It's delivered through the Microsoft platform, and it gives you the advanced capabilities, and we'll talk about even beyond what you may be doing with Project Online today. Why do they recommend us? Well, we are a 5-time award winner in the PPM Partner of the Year globally from Microsoft. We co-created the Accelerator and Power Apps, which we'll talk about today. And that's what's available from Microsoft today, and we'll talk about that as a possible solution for you. We also extend Planner itself into full SPM capabilities. So the Project for the Web, formerly Project for the Web, now Planner with premium plans, we now extend that into full SPM capabilities. This runs securely on Microsoft Azure. Not only do you have all the security and compliance that Microsoft provides with its infrastructure, but OnePlan also has its own SOC 2 and ISO certification. So you do have a secure platform and a secure solution. We also have deep Microsoft 365 integration. We'll talk about integration with the platforms themselves, as well as the individual work management and the task management tools that are available and scheduling tools that are out there today. And with what we've already done with even some existing clients, many existing clients actually, is we have a future-proof migration path for you, moving from Project Online into a OnePlan related solution and a number of different successful customer stories. Now, one of the things you're going to ask is, can I do what I'm doing today in Project Online? OnePlan is pleased to present to you the fact that we not only offer you feature parity with what you're doing in Project Online, we add a bonus of a bunch of different capabilities and possibly even improved capabilities for some of the things that you're doing today in that. So can be a step forward. You know, you may have been using Project Online for a lot of years. The technology really hasn't been updated in quite some time. And maybe some of the original things that you did based upon what was available, maybe there's other things you'd like to do. And our constant feature innovation in delivering those things has been constant, and we now have a robust solution for you to go to. Now, capabilities, just some of the ones that go beyond Project Online and the planner things on there. We have strategic planning. Some of you were using Viva Goals from Microsoft, which was retired. If you want to do OKRs and strategic execution plans, as well as alignment to your plans and initiatives within your PPM solution, OnePlan offers that right within the solution itself. Flexible resource capacity planning that's more interactive, more spreadsheet-like, and more dynamic than maybe what you had in Project Online is available within OnePlan. One of the things that people often came to us for to add on to Project Online, financial budgeting and forecasting on a detailed time phase basis to track CapEx and OpEx and other things like that, is native within OnePlan. More advanced portfolio prioritization and what if modeling capabilities is available to you beyond what you're used to using within Project Online itself. And then work management freedom. Project Online was built on the use of Microsoft Project Professional, and some people could interact with it using the Project Web App and PWA. But OnePlan gives you the ability to leverage, and we'll talk about, continue to use your Microsoft Project Desktop, Planner, Azure DevOps, and other non-Microsoft things like Jira, Smartsheet, Asana, and Wrike. Your team members and your constituencies can use the execution tools that make the most sense for them, or the ones that they're married to, and we can pull that in and bring it into the portfolio management realm within OnePlan. And then on top of that, advanced governance reporting across all your different stage gates, intake, compliance, as well as even meeting the specific needs of different audiences within your organization, different departments, different business units, et cetera. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more that we can go into. And I would say this, as I say all this and talk about our Microsoft relationship, we extend the power of Microsoft 365. We don't replace it. We're native to the Microsoft ecosystem. You know, we have single sign-on authentication. We have two-way sync between OnePlan and the Microsoft tools seamlessly. We use Microsoft Teams for collaboration and content management, meetings, and all that type of stuff. As well as down below, you look at all the icons for the different tools that we connect to. Nobody connects to all these tools the way we do at OnePlan. So let's just go over some of the end-to-end capabilities you can expect if you move to OnePlan. On the demand management side, you can build strategies, you know, objectives, key results, OKRs, and basically build a strategic execution plan that your leaders put in place to set the course for where we want to go as an organization. But then we also have a full ideation and request portal that anybody in your organization can submit ideas to be considered and vetted for potential projects and initiatives. And then we also have things like prioritization and factoring in other dimensions of this, like different products, applications, and business capabilities that may have to be modernized or upgraded in order to support the successful delivery of your initiatives. Ultimately, that demand management, which is native into that, not using any external tools, basically allows us to come up with a portfolio, and we'll talk about flexible portfolio management that we'll work on, and then build it in the context of the constraints that we have, like what resource capacity or demand limits do we have? What financial or budget constraints do we have, and on a detailed time phase basis? And what if scenario modeling, so we can readily evaluate alternatives as changes come down the pike for us. Now, on the execution side of things, OnePlan does have its own execution tools to do these things, and whether they be waterfall work plans, whether they be more agile sprint-based plans. But one of the key things, and one of the reasons people come to OnePlan, is its flexibility on your tool of choice. You see the icons down below the work plan and agile plans in there. We basically see Planner, Project, Smartsheet, Wrike, Azure DevOps, Jira, others. People can actually leverage the execution tools they want, but they can be seamlessly connected to the OnePlan environment such that that data gets folded into the portfolio management practice without the end users having to manually sync these things or import them all the time. One of the key things about that is that you can get full enterprise portfolio management, and for an EPMO or a PMO, without having to rip tools out of people's hands that they're highly invested in. Now, also down below for the team members, you can definitely see the my work and the timesheets. The ability to have a place where a person can go to update all the work that they have in one place, regardless of where it was created and what execution tool it was created in, is powerful and minimizes task and context switching for the users, as well as time reporting. It's already built in and native, such that you can report on those things, whether you have to bill out to customers, whether you have to do chargebacks, whether you have to just do capitalization of labor. And ultimately the reporting, whether it be individual project status reports that are predefined and a natural output of the process, saving you a lot of time and effort, dashboards on a lot of different dimensions that you might look at things from a portfolio or program or individual project level. All those things are available natively within this tool set, beyond what you're used to probably having in Project Online today. And then Sophia, we have a purpose-built AI assistant that complements what you might be doing with Copilot and uses the same Azure OpenAI large language model that's been trained specifically on PPM and SPM disciplines, as well as all things OnePlan, and leverages the data without learning the data from your OnePlan database. Ultimately, this allows us to intake, select the right work to do to make sure we're working on the right things to align with strategies in the organization, and then do the work well across all dimensions of this. Now, just an aside, with all these capabilities, the ability to have governance across the entire organization, important for things like an EPMO or people with an organization-wide purview on things. The ability to provide that is provided in OnePlan, but it's not a one-size-fits-all world. We also provide the ability to provide solution areas such that different departments or business units or areas, whether it be a PMO, an EPMO, or even things like IT specific or product specific, operation specific, can have configured solution areas that give them a user experience for their things that may be unique to them, so that it tailors and looks at the world the way they want to look at it, organized the way they want it to look at. And the integrations we talked about, this is just a subset of the connectors that we have. And one of the themes I'll say today is OnePlan has its own connectors that it provides, so that you can do this without having to subscribe to third-party connector or middleware software out there in order to make this happen. So for example, the work management tools that I talked about, the application management or agile tools, service management tools, financials, etc. And all of this is delivered to you from the Microsoft platform, and we can extend using the Microsoft tools you have available in your ecosystem. And I'll just briefly just say that this is our platform, and it gives us the ability to do all of these different connections in a very seamless fashion with its own console that the end user, the customer, can actually manage themselves. It's not custom code for these connectors that you have to manage over time. And we talked about AI. Now, outside of data integration with the different tools, this is very powerful. For those of you in the Microsoft world, and those of you using Project Online, you are in the Microsoft world and ecosystem. How you consume OnePlan, it really may depend on where you live every day for the most part. For example, OnePlan is designed perfectly to be used in your favorite browser. You can just use it that way and connect to the tools you need to connect to. But we have a fused UI strategy that allows you to stay working in the tools or the platforms that you use every day without leaving, and do content or context switching. For example, if you're using Power Apps today for other purposes, and we'll talk about use cases today where that might fit in, OnePlan can be consumed right from within the Power App. In Teams, very popular way to do this. We connect with Teams not only for content and collaboration, but people can use OnePlan right within their use of Teams, because many people are living in Teams for the bulk of their day these days. Same thing with Azure DevOps. Not only do we connect to the Azure DevOps data from a work plan perspective or an agile plan perspective, you can actually leverage and use all the OnePlan capabilities right from within Azure DevOps without leaving Azure DevOps. And the same thing holds true for things like Dynamics 365, SharePoint, and even non-Microsoft tools like Jira. So the key there is this fused UI strategy is key into what the end user experience is going to be at the end of the day. Ultimately, we need solutions to meet you where you are, because not everybody is using Project Online today to the same level or degree of sophistication or magnitude. So let's just take a look. For example, in the new world that Microsoft is going towards in the more collaborative work management space, where they're using Microsoft Planner and Planner Premium, which was formerly called Project for the Web, its data is all stored in what's called the Dataverse, which is basically the database repository. And people might just use it as a repository and call up individual plans in a lightweight fashion. That's how people could really use that. That's super lightweight. But because it's in the Dataverse, you can use Power Apps to do basic portfolios and lists and access to these projects and data and metadata at the portfolio level around that. So that is an option with this. Now, for people that are not using many of the capabilities on a time phase basis, for example, within Project Online, things like time phase financial plans, time phase resource plans, timesheets, etc. OnePlan was enlisted by Microsoft to develop an accelerator, because even though Power Apps is a low-code, no-code platform, a lot of folks don't have the appetite to build and maintain their own applications within Power Apps. So this was designed, and it is still provided by Microsoft, and it's now called the Planner Accelerator. It's gone by a number of different names over these evolutions. But the idea here is it gives you a Power App that's pre-built, provided by Microsoft from up in GitHub, for example, that you can then use as a light portfolio management solution that provides some basic capabilities for you. And OnePlan delivered this for Microsoft. But it does not provide full feature parity with Project Online, and that's the cautionary. It depends on what your needs are and to what degree you're using Project Online, as whether this by itself is a suitable alternative for you. Now, in a crawl perspective, we look at Project Online or Microsoft Project for the Web, which is now called Planner with Premium Plans. The Power Apps in these red or maroon bars basically show you the things that that the accelerator will add for you. Things like project requests and programs, etc. But the things it does, it's a pre-configured solution that's offered via Microsoft. It's Power Apps tables that basically do a few things. In the case where you see like issues, risks, and changes, it replaces the SharePoint lists with those tables and those items in there to replace those lists, and replaces the project center and the project detail pages as far as the portfolio goes, right? But there's no time phase data for things like resource plans and financials. There's no timesheets built in. And it's really only built for Planner Premium plans that are in there. So the move towards Planner, or Project for the Web, which now became Planner Premium plans, with premium plans, it's built for that solution in and of itself. Now, there are other third parties out there who are offering Power App solutions of their own. And I would say this, consider them carefully. One is, it's not the Microsoft offered accelerator that they're giving you. It's a collection of Power Apps tables and some individual capability widgets in many cases for different purposes that are little widgets that are basically spliced in. And then ultimately, because it's got Power Apps, it's got Dataverse, it's got the widgets, and it's also got a lot of potential interconnected points of potential failure and various responsibilities for supporting the components technology-wise. And it's also vulnerable to Microsoft technology changes. You know, we were involved in the old day with a SharePoint-based solution that every time Microsoft made changes to the core capabilities of SharePoint, it broke our solution. So these kind of vulnerabilities are possible. So just be careful as you look at these other alternatives, because you are going to be offered a number of different opportunities to look at different things. And in many cases, these Power Apps offerings are representing Power BI reports in the frames, and they're positioned as functional capabilities when they're really nothing more than reports. So just be careful, because these things are out there. Now, on the Microsoft Power Platform, where Planner Premium is basically built on, you can still use Power Apps and Power Automate and Power BI for your reporting and put the data in the Dataverse. But OnePlan is designed to add into that to provide fully functional and capable SPM or PPM solutions. So for example, in addition to the things that you might have in just the Power Apps tables, right? These are examples where OnePlan can interject time phase resource capacity, time phase detailed financial plans, full scenario modeling capability that's not in the accelerator by itself, and timesheets, for example, are just some of the examples that you might have. And OnePlan, since we were integral in developing and providing the accelerator in the first place, our solution, OnePlan, was designed to plug into it seamlessly so that you can use it and add additional capabilities with very little effort. So if we go from a crawl scenario to a walk, extending Microsoft with OnePlan for more advanced PPM takes what was formerly Project and we add in OnePlan itself, and we do not need Power Apps to do this. We can add the strategic piece, so the OKRs, the project request, the advanced portfolio management, prioritization, and scenario modeling in your portfolios, the detailed financials, the capacity planning, as well as handle right within OnePlan itself the issues, risks, changes, status reports, the my work, and the timesheets, all in one tool. Basically, one place to go for all those things in a connected, integrated solution that's all one piece. Now, the reason I have the green up here for projects and tasks is we still support Project Desktop. For those of you who are still invested in Microsoft Project Professional or Project Desktop, and we're using Project Online, this option allows you to continue to use your Microsoft project plans on the desktop and feed that into the portfolio management solution with a very similar process that you use when you publish plans out to Project Online. And the key there is you can continue to use Microsoft Project Desktop, not in a standalone fashion after this is gone, after Project Online is gone, but in an enterprise portfolio management context overall. So OnePlan now provides and wraps around Project Online a complete solution for PPM and SPM. It's fully supported by a vendor. It's native time phase data, not relying on an array of widgets that get plugged into Power Apps. There's no reporting posing as capabilities, and you're not subscribing to a third-party Power App configuration, which is what it is really. It's a Power Apps configuration that you'd be subscribing to. So once again, clean, single solution, and just connecting with Project Desktop as part of your solution. But it can also be done in a more advanced scenario where we can add all of these things, in a run scenario where we can extend with OnePlan connectors for full strategic and what's called adaptive PPM with mixed tools, mixed methodologies, etc. So in this case, I'm showing the same picture that's using Microsoft Project Desktop and all the OnePlan capabilities added on top of it. But now, unlike the Accelerator, which only uses Planner, or unlike the example I showed before that was just using Project Desktop, here we can have portfolio management that's using a variety of different productized connectors, so we could actually bring in plans from Planner, Project, Azure DevOps, Jira, Smartsheet, Workday, I mean, you name it. And the idea is you then have a choice of execution tools all rolling up into this portfolio management solution provided by OnePlan. And it provides waterfall capabilities, agile capabilities, and even hybrid plans that you can put together right natively within the solution. So once again, clean, robust, and flexible. Now, to get there, it's relatively easy with OnePlan's capabilities. Because we have pre-built connector and migration tools and expert migrations that are seamless, we actually provide seamless capabilities to move over to this thing and minimize any disruption you might have. And some people might have angst because of the timeline here that they have to get off of this within say 12 plus months. So with Project Online, we actually have done hundreds of Project Online implementations over the years as a Microsoft Partner of the Year. We've also done a bunch of OnePlan implementations, but we've done a number of them where they work in conjunction. So just as I showed OnePlan capabilities in the screenshots in supplementing what we're doing in Power Apps, we did the same thing with Project Online originally. And we have basically a OnePlan connector for Project Online that adds additional capabilities in the areas of financial management, resource management, enhanced portfolio management, using a OnePlan connector for Project Online that basically synchronizes data between the two. Now, the interesting part of that is when you synchronize the data, you basically have a partial synchronization of the data into OnePlan, meaning the migration is basically partially done at this point. And the idea is it synchronizes and leverages that data very seamlessly. And we can actually demonstrate that to you, and we can actually even have you, we'll talk about a proof of concept where we might be able to show you how that works as well with your data. But ultimately, we also have migration tool for this and services that allows you to very easily get from Project Online and just move over into OnePlan completely so that you're over there by the time that this thing retires and is no longer available. We have vast experience with hundreds of Project Online implementations, and we have successful customers with OnePlan integrations and full migrations from Project Online, meaning we're a safe choice because we've done it, we've got the tools, and to be quite honest, we can actually do it incrementally because we have the connector that we can connect in the meantime. So anyway, if you're interested in this, we'd love for you to engage with us and talk to us a little bit more. If you want to learn even more than what we're doing here today, I think it's important for you to know that we're having our annual conference in Las Vegas in January, late January. And in that, we're going to have a full track, given that this is a hot topic right now. We're going to have a full track on this. And we'll have Microsoft experts there. We'll have peers who've done it, and customers are in there that have done it. We're going to have OnePlan partners and Microsoft partners there who are available to you with this type of expertise to leverage what you know, especially if you have trusted partners that you've worked with already. And basically, we'll show how you can future-proof your PPM from Project Online into the future, okay, and how you can accelerate that migration strategy. Go to oneplan.ai/empower if you want to look more about the event and possibly register. We'd love to see you there. So with that, let me just show you some things to show you about this stuff is live and it's available to us today. All right, so first I'm going to show you OnePlan in the browser, just to give you a lay of the land. And in this particular case, OnePlan is designed to structure your portfolio or plan type hierarchy the way you want. In this demo example, I've got one or more portfolios, I've got programs within portfolios, and then I got projects and epics and engagements within that. In the epics, we can even bring out feature level, those types of things. But this is an example of one way that you can do this. The way you model portfolios would be the structure that you would put in and configure in this. And notice we have multiple portfolios in here. If I'm an enterprise PMO, multiple portfolios might be for different business units or different parts of the business, or however you organize things. And in that regard, we can actually look at these things in a variety of ways, meaning that I can go into a portfolio, the programs that are in there, and look at the projects and epics that are available to me in one place. We can have a variety of different, what we call list views here. And this one's got a lot of KPIs in there available to it. We got some data, but you can add whatever columns of data that we provide, as well as ones that you add in any particular view, and you can save as many different views, personal or system-wide views as you want, so you can look at this data the way that you like. Very easy and very simple for the end user to do that. And the key there is that no matter what perspective you can have the data in here to look at it from that perspective. Now, ultimately, we can do this right within OnePlan only, or we could connect to other tools. Look at the icon symbology over here. Notice that I've got a plan that's connected to Planner Premium. I got a plan over here that's connected to Project Professional. I got a plan that's connected here to Azure DevOps. And we'll go into examples of this a little bit later in the demonstration. But the idea here now is I have a holistic portfolio, and the source of the planning and scheduling data that's coming over is not necessarily just solely from OnePlan. It's coming from places where people have planned it in other tools or sources, okay? And the different views that we have in here, whether it be overall portfolio prioritization that you might want to do, or project prioritization that you might want to do, and have scoring and methodologies to get prioritization scores that are calculated and those types of things. The availability for us to do this is very key. And we're not locked into just that portfolio hierarchy. For example, if I wanted to group and summarize by multiple layers, instead of doing the portfolio views, I could just say, let me look at this by business unit. And in the business unit view, now I can look at this, and now I've got group and summarization by the different business units in the portfolio. I could even supplement that and say, okay, outside of that group, maybe I want to look at within that and say, look at the executive sponsor within each of those business units. And I can see maybe where we don't yet have an executive sponsor, or where the executive sponsors are identified within those, and have those grouped and summarized. But any data that you actually put in here, metadata, where you categorize and characterize your projects, can be grouping or filtering parameters at any given point in time. Now, in this high-level demo, I just want to go through and say these list views are very flexible, but we also have board views. So something you didn't have in Project Online, the ability to look at this in a more agile fashion and have the different columns and swim lanes the way you want to. In this case, I got projects by different state. I've got cards that are color-coded by the status of them, whether or not they're on track or at risk or off track. The cards can give us a bunch of data, and we can actually drill into items to get into the quick details at any given point in time to look at the details about why this thing might be off track, or any other particular information I want around that. And we can actually change this with a variety of things and add swim lanes by a variety of different things, whether it be by let me do it by business unit. And then the idea here is I can look at how these cards are done by business unit, et cetera, and look at this thing in portfolio board views. The other thing is dynamic roadmaps. We don't have to build these roadmaps. They actually are views that can actually just render based upon the information that we have in there. So for example, projects in here and the different swim lanes, in this case, they're grouped by portfolios, okay? they're color coded by status and how we're doing on those. Or maybe I want to group it by some other capability. I might want to say, let me group these by business unit as well. And maybe I want to color code them by different things, like how we're doing on, say, financial health. And now look in here and see the ones that are off track from a financial perspective as opposed from a progress status perspective. And all these things are dynamically created right here within OnePlan. Now, Sophia, our AI assistant, can be invoked at any given point in the system, and you can actually pin your standard prompts that you might want, whether they be for analysis or for data entry or for other types of routine things that you want the AI to associate you with. And then ultimately, the dashboards, we want these to be a natural output of the process. We have our own native dashboarding for, say, portfolio information, project level information, be able to drill into the details here dynamically on any one of these from the reports themselves, financial comparisons and other things like that. But we also have a rich set of Power BI reports. Many of you are probably using Power BI today because that's the reporting engine for Project Online. And we have a full OData feed that allows you to get every bit of data that's in OnePlan and bring that over into a rich set of Power BI reports, such that you can look at those either directly in Power BI or right here from within OnePlan. And the idea here is that if you're used to using Power BI and you got Power BI skills, we provide you out of the box about 50 or so report templates at the portfolio level, project level, resource plan level, et cetera, and be able to get into that at any given point in time. Okay. Now, if we go back to the list view and we go look at our portfolio summary, I just want to basically show you when you drill into a specific project, right, or plan, right, and we expand that out, these plans could be built right here in OnePlan. They could be built from scratch. They can be built using templates that you might have, organization-wide templates. You might have, oh, excuse me, let me unlock the plan. They might have, personal templates that you use, online templates that you have. You can import data from CSV or other OnePlan plans. You can synchronize this with Microsoft Project, or you can even have Sophia create a plan for you. The AI can actually create a plan for you based upon the data that you put in there and the description you put in regarding that plan. And these work plans can be built to whatever level of detail you want. You can have the Gantt views that you're used to seeing, et cetera. You can have resources and all the things around that and advanced scheduling that you might want. The other key pieces in here is that we also have the ability right in here, not having to go out to SharePoint or whatever you were doing right in Project Online. So right here, we have work types in here like issues, risks, change requests, logging key decisions, et cetera. And we can do all that right here within OnePlan without having to go out to a SharePoint site, for example. We also have detailed resource capacity planning, and we'll show this at a more global level. But for example, I can plan in terms of hours and percentages and full-time equivalents, for example. I can plan with generic resource names or named individuals. I can even look at overloaded individuals, for example, and I can go in here and look for candidates that basically I might be able to replace them with and see who has remaining availability and make those replacements and resources right here. This type of dynamic resource planning in Project Online really didn't exist at this level. It was more static when you looked at the pages within that resource capacity view. So once again, another enhancement that you'd get in moving off of Project Online into here. Okay. The financial planning, we talked about time phase data, being able to break the cost categories, labor and non-labor alike, into the different categories and time phasing, and even the different budget horizons that you might want to have, or how many years you might want in order to be able to do those types of things. And that's the type of capability that was very hard to get to in Project Online. Okay. The status reports, the ability to have a predefined status reports that just pulls data but still gives you the latitude to have areas to put your narrative in. You can even possibly even ask Sophia, the AI generator, to do some analysis and put the analysis data in there for you if you wanted to do that. But the idea there is this status report then doesn't have to be manually generated each reporting period, and you can save a history of those for trending and all those types of things and put them out to common formats so that you can distribute these to non-OnePlan users. So once again, a lot of these things are available to us, let alone how these things might be interrelated to other things in here. So our visualizer really allows us to look at predecessors, successors, but how we maybe relate back to strategies we have identified, as well as other things we're dependent on, like other products or applications or business capabilities. So once again, very robust things that you were not able to do in Project Online are available to us as you move to this portfolio management capabilities that a little more advanced in OnePlan. The next piece I want to get to, though, is the integration piece, because one of the things I touted in the slides is, yes, you could move from Project Online to the new Planner Premium, but if you can't use only Planner Premium because of what it makes available to you, or you have additional capabilities, you have options. So for example, in this particular case, if I drill into a plan, let me start with Planner. So this Planner Premium project, and if I go into the work plan, I can see a work plan is still here in OnePlan, right? But I also see icons to the left-hand side that say these tasks were all brought in from a Planner Premium plan. And this is because we have an active connection with Planner for this particular plan. And if I have the rights to do so, I can actually open Planner, and the synchronization is happening from this plan to OnePlan, meaning you can still do all what you're doing in Planner Premium, do the things you have here, but you can be compliant with the PMO or anyone who's got that purview that you need to provide status and updates to, because that data is coming into OnePlan right here with the data that synchronizes. And our connector technology does not require you to update manually. Yes, could you pull in a one-off update? But for example, you could set it up to do several times a day to do updates, for example, and at the frequency that you want to provide those updates from Planner Premium into here. And this data then in turn rolls up to the detail summaries and those types of things for the project plans as you go through. And these forms and the details pages are completely configurable through drag and drop configuration. Okay. Now, if I go back to the portfolio, let me do the same thing for Microsoft Project on the desktop. One of the things that the Accelerator doesn't give you is the ability to continue to keep using desktop on an ongoing basis. So if I go into this project plan and I look at the work plan that's in here, it's probably a more involved plan if you're using Project Desktop rather than Planner Premium. And in this particular case, I am actively connected to Microsoft Project Professional. Now, this could be connected, via Project Online, but when Project Online goes away, you're going to be using standalone Microsoft project plans, right? Potentially in MPP files. They could be stored anywhere. They could be stored locally on the computer like mine here. It could be stored in a shared drive. It could be up in Teams, wherever it might be. But the idea here now is it's connected to this particular project plan. And because this is a fat standalone client and not a cloud web-based tool, what OnePlan does is it's added its own component into here that allows you to connect to the OnePlan environment. And then as you build your plan here, you can actually publish them out to OnePlan. And any updates that happen in OnePlan from the My Work or the timesheet or whatever it might be, you can receive those updates back into here using this add-in to Microsoft Project Professional. So those of you concerned about how you're going to use Microsoft Project on the desktop in conjunction with a portfolio management discipline, this is a way that you can easily do that. And we can get those plans synchronized very quickly for you. I guess the other one I want to show you is Azure DevOps. And so those of you using Azure DevOps, because that's not going anywhere, and people are using that a lot for planning, especially in software development and agile development. If I look in here to the Azure DevOps project, let me drill into that one. Just like I told you, we have work types in here for issues and risks. We also have a backlog work type if you're doing more agile things, and you can come in here and basically look at a backlog, but look at where the backlog items are coming from. The icons are showing us it's from Azure DevOps. And why is that? Is because we have an active connection to Azure DevOps here. And if I go to open up Azure DevOps, it'll take me, and we're connected at the epic level here for this particular implementation. And the idea is we got the epics that has all its children, user stories and tasks and features and those types of things. And it's synchronizing on an automated basis with this particular area within Azure DevOps. Now, the cool part here is not only are we synchronizing data, but we are actually using that fused UI concept we talked to right about here in Azure DevOps. For example, right here, without leaving Azure DevOps, I can go look at things that you don't normally see, like the resource plan that's over in OnePlan for this particular epic, the financials that I might be tracking, the details page around that, right? I can also take a look at what has been tracking in the work plan, for example, or the reporting around that. You might even have a separate release schedule that's different from, say, the backlog that you have, and you can actually have that to communicate up to management. And on top of just being able to look at the OnePlan data over in there in the OnePlan solution for this specific epic, we have an add-in that allows us to extend and bring OnePlan capabilities right here into Azure DevOps. So for example, let's just say I'm getting assigned work not just in Azure DevOps, and there's a My Work page in here that allows me to see everything that's put on my plate. For example, I might have something that came over in a Smartsheet plan, and now I've got tasks assigned to me here. Right when I'm in Azure DevOps, I can provide updates for that and have it go back to the connected Smartsheet plan. If I have to do a timesheet, I can either do a full timesheet right here within Azure DevOps, or I can actually use what's called the work log. So while I'm in the individual task, I can actually update for that specific task right while I'm working in there. And I can just update the cells as I see and make notes and comments as I go through. Or maybe a global resource plan. I can look at that all within here. So once again, all the OnePlan capabilities available to us right here from within Azure DevOps. So once again, a combination of data synchronization between the two, as well as the Fuse UI concept that we talked about earlier on. Now, from an environment perspective, moving on to that Fuse UI concept, notice this data warehouse migration is not connected to any scheduling tool, but it is connected to Teams. So we might be doing just the OnePlan schedules right here in OnePlan, but we're using Teams for content and collaboration. In this particular case, I'm connected to a Teams site or a Teams channel. I'm going to actually use the web app because I'm connected with my FAT client as Jim Patterson. I'm using a demo persona here. But notice now there is a Teams channel here that is actually connected to my plan that allows me to have posts and communication. I have my file repository that I would typically have. I can have a OneNote notebook for maybe my project specific meeting notes and whatever else it might be. But notice that OnePlan is an authorized Microsoft Teams application that you can add from your plus sign here to add a tab. And then idea here is when you connect it, you can actually have project specific information surface in here. So just like I looked at the resource plan for this specific project for this data warehouse migration, notice I'm doing all the same things right here from within Teams, including the reporting around that, etc. So once again, very flexible, but to add OnePlan to the power of Teams so that you can actually do your project and portfolio management right here without leaving Teams. Now, in that regard, this is very project specific. What if you just wanted to access OnePlan as a solution right within Teams? The same thing when you go to the apps, OnePlan is an authorized Microsoft Teams app that you can add to the left rail navigation over here. And in that particular case, in my case, I have a number of different OnePlan environments. You would typically have one. And the idea here is it takes me to that OnePlan environment and I have the full breadth of capabilities from the portfolio that I just showed you earlier on to the capabilities to drill into the individual projects, the boards, the roadmaps, the dashboards, but other capabilities I haven't shown you yet, for example. I talked about solution areas for different specific parts of the organization. In this particular case, if I have a professional services arm in my organization, maybe I don't want to look at this by project portfolios. Maybe my concern is my clients or my accounts, and maybe the engagements that I'm working on within those and drill into those. And the engagements might be a specific type of plan or initiative or project that I'm working on. You might have product development that has their own things where their view of the world might be by product line and by individual products and this related initiatives that are going on to support the development and the life cycle of those particular products. Maybe there's application development area that you have, and these applications are being developed to support business capabilities internally. And they have applications which then have efforts going on to support those as well. So once again, specific, unique things that we're looking at in different ways we might look at these things for different parts of the organization. And then ultimately, it all rolls up into that enterprise portfolio that we've been demonstrating to you right from the beginning. What other areas are in here? Well, there's the corporate strategy we talked about. The corporate strategy would allow you to have objectives and key results. And since Viva Goals is no longer available to us, why not do the OKRs right in here and align them with different projects and epics? And at any given point in time, be able to go into something like an objective and basically go in and say, what is it related to? And we can very easily relate these things and show what we call the visualizations that basically can tell me, are there any dependencies or are there any relations between these things or associations? In this particular case, I got 2 key results for this objective. There are 5 projects and epics that are actually aligned that are supporting the achievement of those. One of them looks to be off track. I can go into here at any given point in time, I can drill right to it, or I can pop out the relevant data and get to the data about this at any given point in time and see what's putting me at risk. So once again, from the objective and the strategy aligned all the way down to the initiatives themselves, it's a very easy way for us to do that. We can go into more detail in other demonstrations for you. Now, ultimately, you're going to have ideas and requests come in. To have a portal where all that comes in, where anybody can surface or raise an idea and have voting being done on it, to have detailed business cases built around them, et cetera, and be able to do that right within the context of this. And you can decide what that business case form looks like, et cetera, and be able to flush that out, put an initial work plan together for it if you're trying to justify the plan of what it's going to take to do that, and even have an approval cycle with workflows built in right into that mix. This can be done anywhere, just in Teams like this I'm showing, right in the browser like I showed you originally. But the idea is that these can be approved and vetted and what we call reorganized at some point, so that you can basically say, we'd like to promote this or reorganize this into a project, for example, and carry forth with it all the data we collected through that intake process, and basically have it from end to end, a seamless continuum all the way through the life cycle of the project. Okay. As far as resource planning, I showed you prior a resource plan within the context of an individual project or a plan, but that all rolls up. So once again, that same context of planning in hours, percentages, or FTEs. If I would look at developer and say, how many FTEs do I need? Well, in July, it looks like I need over 11, but I only got 5. Demo data is great because we can highlight some really severe mismatches here. But I would contend to you that if we had this kind of visibility all the time, the likelihood of you basically more than double booking your team overall would be highly unlikely, because you wouldn't do it without pre-notice of what was happening. And we can plan by named individuals or generics like we see here. This is telling me I've got generic planning here done that I haven't put a name to yet. And what do I want to do? Do I want to use that replace function to say I got this thing coming up, and what candidates do I have that I can go look for that might be able to fit the bill here? And it looks like Erlich Bachman might be a good replacement for me there. And I can look at it in a variety of different ways. Or I could even relieve some overloaded resources and say, what things can I get Jared off of, and who can I replace Jared with down below? So once again, this resource planning can be looked at in a variety of different ways, including by team, et cetera. Okay. The modeler is really that what if analysis that I talked about in the slides. If we look at it, and I go in, we can create different models of potential things that we'd like to do based upon changes that happen that come our way and the way we might need to reassess. And the ability for me to go in here and look at, say, a model and have one or more scenarios built within that model, the model being the potential items like the active projects, proposed projects, maybe ones that we've already got on hold, et cetera, the ideas that we might have, bring those in and look at those from a prioritization perspective, from prioritization score perspective, but also look at it in terms of what are my financial constraints? Is it going to take, if I did everything, it would take me almost $8 million. Maybe I don't have $8 million. If it takes me the resource side of things, I might have resource bottlenecks that I can't do all this with the resources I have, and look at the red that I have down in there. So the key there is, if I go into different scenarios, I can come in and I can say, well, what if my scenario is $3.5 million? Well, it's a combination of me selecting the projects that might be the highest priority, or the ones that I have to do out of compliance and those types of things, and looking at the things that, does this fit within the financials? In this particular case, I'm down to maybe $3.7 million here, maybe not quite down to 3.5. So maybe in addition to selection, I might need to check out maybe the timing of these types of things. And maybe I need to take this proposed project that's not already in flight, and maybe I need to get it out of this current period horizon and basically look at that. And now I've got this down in the $3.5 million range, and maybe I can update this scenario. So the key here is I can look at a combination of things, save these different scenarios, and then ultimately I can compare the scenarios that are in here, looking to see whether it's worth my while to maybe get another $500,000. Do I get more projects and more benefits for that type of thing? and even look at things like, the traditional analyzer bubble charts and see, based on whatever matrix I have, in this case it's prioritization versus benefits, what things did I select, and maybe even what things didn't I select, and should I have reconsidered based upon where they sit on this grid. Okay. We also have a visualizer use in the what if scenario that allows me to look at this and say, all right, out of what I've selected, are there any predecessors or successors to them that I may have overlooked? Should I reconsider putting this one in lieu of something else? Or from a strategic alignment perspective, are the things I have that I've approved or I've selected that maybe don't tie back to any particular strategy or objective of the organization? Should I even be doing this? Should I reconsider that? And there may be a couple things in there that have that. So the idea here is there's a lot of analysis we can do here to get to the right solution, to make sure we're working on the right things and respond to changes that happen on the ground. Okay. Now, the last couple things I wanted to show demonstration-wise, I know we're running close to the top of the hour, is the fact that OnePlan is an option with the Accelerator, and what we might want to do there. As I had mentioned, the things you do in the browser with OnePlan or in Teams doesn't require really the things that you need in Power Apps, but you may already be committed to Power Apps, or you may already put the Accelerator into play. And so the key there would be is in the Accelerator has its basic capabilities that are allowed here to have a list of projects. You might be able to aggregate them into programs. You could actually have a list for project requests, etc., and some reporting. Okay. Now, in this, you might add OnePlan to the mix of that, and notice that there are more items on the navigation now than you had before. But let's just start with the plans. I could come in here, and now in the 401k enhancement, you could actually come in here and say, maybe we have added the OnePlan detailed time phase financial capability into the Power App now for this particular project. Or maybe the time phase resource planning we add into this as well. Once again, the same native OnePlan capability, but it's just being rendered and accessed for within the context of your Power App. Okay. Do you want to access the modeler from within here, right? And be able to look at that? Do you want to access a timesheet, which isn't in the Accelerator natively, or a My Work area, for example? So the idea there is, well, we can look at these things in a variety of different ways, but consume OnePlan right from within here, so you can have a holistic Power App solution, but something that's not a compilation of widgets. It's a holistic solution with a Power Apps front end. Okay. And the last thing I want to show is just basically show that this is a use case, and we have a number of customers that are here right now that are going to have to move to full migration. But Project Online is in use, and I'm going to bring up a Project Online environment right now. And in this project center, we're going to have to figure out what to do with these plans and get off of these plans as we go through this. But for example, if I drill into this Fabricamp project, what we've done with a number of different Project Online clients of ours is basically look at OnePlan within the context of your project detail pages. And as I go in here, once again, here's the financials, here's the resource plan, right? Here's the work plan, basically, if you wanted to use the work plan pieces in there, etc. And the idea there is that it supplemented and augmented some of the things that they wanted to do maybe in a more enhanced way within Project Online. But the key here is when you do this, is that our connector needs to synchronize some of the data so that OnePlan can use it, meaning that it's been already synchronized and hence migrated into the OnePlan database already in parallel with what's going on here in Project Online. So for example, if I go into here and I go look at, say, the portfolio analyzer view in here, what we've got is a OnePlan portfolio with all the projects that are in your OnePlan, in your Project Online, already synced over to OnePlan. All right, and basically it's showing us that I've already got a portfolio in here in OnePlan with the data that's that I've been showing you synchronized to that, meaning that the day Project Online retires, right, OnePlan is still going to be sitting here with all that Project Online data ready to go, all because you synchronized with it just from a certain key capabilities like financials or enhanced resource planning, et cetera, that you wanted to put in there. And so the advanced portfolio capabilities that you have in here, like the board views and the roadmaps and all that stuff, is already done just by using our connector from OnePlan to Project Online. So once again, future proofing. You could actually do this today And actually, by the time it retires, you could actually then have OnePlan already in play with your data already moved over. So anyway, that's just something I wanted you to be aware of, because it really makes the process easy. And we have things that are already established that are proven that you can actually leverage to make that happen. All right, so with that, let me go back to the slides and let me wrap up. Once again, we have experience here. We're not, new to this. We live for project and portfolio management, and we're not only been recognized multiple years by Microsoft, but also recognition from Gartner and Forrester and Infotech Research and software reviews. And we're a strategic Microsoft partner in this recommended solution and alternative. We have customer testimonials. You go out to our website and you can look at video testimonials of people that are getting the value out of OnePlan today. So feel free to look at those. But we're not just a software vendor. We provide a one-stop shop for a lot of things. Advisory services, and we'll talk about a strategy workshop or a migration workshop that you might take us up advantage of on us. We implement the tools, obviously, and we provide education and training and ongoing customer success and support. So once again, one place to go to support everything. You don't have to worry about, is this widget or this piece supported by this technology, or do I have to go to Microsoft for this, or I have to go to this party for that. The idea is that we put it all under one roof to make it easy for you and make you more supportable. So this free migration workshop and a OnePlan proof of concept, if you really like what you see here today and ready to start planning your transition, we will provide migration planning guidance, and we'll provide a free migration transition / workshop and help you roadmap that initially. And we'll even get you hands-on with OnePlan with a proof of concept. And we can possibly even connect it with your project online to show you how that happens, just so you can see that it's not smoke and mirrors, to see that it is real. And you can go look at some of the details around that at this URL, and you'll get a copy of the slides at the end of the presentation. Now, we do webinars like this all the time. So we have some ones coming up, another one on this topic of project online and where to go with that. But we're also doing some things specific into the area of life sciences. So if you're in that industry, we got one of those coming up at the end of the month as well. And we have a rich library of webinars that we've done over the years. So please engage with us. This is a critical time, and we're anxious to help our customers and anyone else who thinks that we can be of value to them. So we can give you a free migration / transition workshop. We can hook you up with a free proof of concept trial that possibly connects to your data. Or if you just want to explore this more, I did everything very high level today. We can do a personalized one-on-one demonstration for you and your organization. Just let us know what your requirements are, your specific unique needs, and we can answer those questions for you and show you some things potentially. Now, contact@oneplan.ai is the general email that you'd contact us with, or research more about us at www.oneplan.ai. Now, I'm happy to take any inquiries from you after the webinar. Just reach out to me at my email address here. But I'd just like to take this time at the top of the hour. We use the full hour, and it's to thank you for investing this time. And we'd love to partner with you to see you make that successful transition, and not only just transition and move your stuff, but kind of move yourself to the next level with OnePlan and do some of the additional things that maybe you couldn't do before. Or maybe when you implemented Project Online, there was things that you learned later that you hadn't considered, and you had to do it over, you'd redo it. So let's use that opportunity to just make things better. So thank you and have a great day.